Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I'll be showing you a loot from 10,000 crystal keys in the Priff chest. So previously I did a loot for 1k crystal chests, but now I have a larger loot tab. So before I get into the loot, I'm just going to show you my setup and strategy on how I loot the crystal chests fast. So it's located in the Iorwerth clan, which is inside the church. You're just going to use your crystal teleport seed, then run south and then enter. Alright, so here's my equipment setup. I have a fire staff. After that I have a large rune pouch, and I'm going to be storing nature runes. Now I find it gives you more profit to alch, as well as clearing inventory space faster. After that I have Luck of the Dwarves, and that increases the chance of better rewards for crystal chests. The attuned crystal teleport seed will give you unlimited teleports, so you can create this using a regular crystal teleport seed, as well as 4k harmonic dust. Honestly though, it's a really nice convenient item to have. Finally I have max cape to bank, but I mean if you don't have this, that's fine. Just use attuned crystal teleport seed to Treherne, which is the 5th option, or the Ithel clan. So here's my inventory setup. I'm just going to create a bank preset. This will contain 15 crystal keys as well as a gem bag. Now I highly suggest you leave the first 13 inventory spaces empty, and I'll explain later why. After that I have a beast of burden, and that is filled with crystal keys. I'm using a pack mammoth with legendary pet, because this lets me use pouches on them, and that will extend it for up to 2 hours at once. With that being said, I'd use 47 crystal keys per trip, which is 15 in an inventory, as well as 32 in beast of burden. Also, don't forget to checkbox the Beast of Burden preset when you're loading your inventory preset. Alright, so here's the complete strategy. You're going to set your familiar left click option to follower details. So by clicking the familiar icon every time, it'll open the familiar inventory. You also want to keybind both the gem bag as well as the high alch spell. What you're going to do is empty the gem bag on the bank interface before loading the preset after every trip. That way it basically empties all the gems to the bank without actually having to close the interface. So every time you load the bank preset, you just want to press the escape key immediately afterwards. That way it closes the interface faster. So once you teleport, just surge south and enter the room. You're just going to keep spam clicking to loot the crystal chest. I also suggest you spam click the gem bag button, because that way it constantly fills the gem bag after every key. This in turn really does clear inventory space very quickly, especially when you receive a lot of rubies and diamonds. Whenever you get a rune armor or weapon, you just want to high alch the item from your action bar by pressing the high alch key on the item. This basically gives you better profit overall, as well as clearing your inventory space faster. So yeah, just quickly alch once every 1 or 2 crystal chests. I mean, it doesn't really waste that much time. You don't actually have to high alch everything at once, because you'll still have leftover rune item to alch after you used up all the keys. I believe after all the loot, I had 400 alchables left, but yeah, I still ended up alching them myself. Sometimes you do accidentally alch something that isn't rune, but I mean still, I made profit though. Just gotta be careful sometimes, you know? So here's a really important part of the strategy. Whenever your inventory is full, you just want to click Give Beast of Burden icon. This is located in the Beast of Burden follower details, right beside the Take Beast of Burden. What ends up happening is, it's going to dump the entire inventory to the Beast of Burden. Then you're just going to use the remaining keys in your inventory afterwards. So whenever you run out of crystal keys in your inventory, you're going to click Give Beast of Burden icon once again. Afterwards, just right click withdraw 5 or 10 crystal keys from your Beast of Burden inventory. So I did suggest you leave the first 13 inventory spaces empty, right? Well, when you're giving your beast a burden, you want to give the loot, not the crystal keys. Basically, when you press give beast a burden, it'll actually give you the entire inventory, starting from the top. So because you receive loot from the top of your inventory, that way it makes it easier to clear your inventory. So really, it gives you a lot more convenience as well as efficiency. You also want to have at least 7 inventory slots. Like if you don't, there's a confirmation screen warning, which is a hassle to go through. Not only does it make it a lot more click intensive, but it also makes it a lot slower. If at any point the Beast of Burden as well as the inventory have fewer than 7 slots combined early on, then you're just going to teleport to your bank and restart your trip. Like I said, it's not worth the hassle to have to click the confirmation screen every time. Usually this happens when you get rune bars on your first couple of keys of the trip, so all in all just keep repeating the same process until you used up all your crystal keys. So to bank, just use your max cape or your attuned crystal teleport seed, either to the Treherne bank or the Ithel bank. You can also sneak in 1 high alch after the teleport animation, just before hitting the banker. That is only if you have some spare rune items in your inventory. Once again, before loading the preset, you're just going to right click empty the gem bag with the bank interface open. With all that being said, I explained a lot, but this is how I looted them really fast. I do have a 1 hour footage of opening crystal chests, and I'll leave that link in the description. So looting all these keys took me a little over 8 hours, which I averaged 1,200 to 1,300 keys per hour. Now previously I did around 800 keys per hour I think. So for anyone who's curious, the Voice of Saren doesn't have any effect on the crystal key loot, as confirmed by Mod Hunter. I believe he made a Reddit post on this, and I'll leave that link in the description. The Dragonstone armor drop rate is around 1 in 6.8k, as confirmed by Mod Timbo. So I purchased these keys last week for around 38.5k each. Now the price is really bottoming out, and especially with Slayer Weekend, it's gonna get even cheaper. So here's my loot breakdown. For the first 5,000 keys, I did not use Luck of the Dwarves, because I forgot to equip it at first, and I didn't want to buy another 5,000. Then after that, the next 5,000 is using Luck of the Dwarves. So as you can see, I made a table comparing the loot with and without Luck of the Dwarves respectively. So without Luck of the Dwarves, you'll see more seeds and lantidimes, as well as more crystal tree blossoms. Using Luck of the Dwarves, you do seem to get significantly more addy as well as coal. This in turn really does seem to add a huge portion to the profit. I mean, it's probably because the herbs and herb seeds aren't really worth that much these days. As for talismans and rune bars, they're just around the same rate. As for the rune item alchables, I got slightly more using Luck of the Dwarves. So my price check is accurate as of November 28th, 2017, but it may be a little bit off, so I apologize if that's the case. With that being said, the Luck of the Dwarves loot seems to be around 4 mil better, even if you exclude the Dragonstone armor. I know Luck of the Dwarves does affect Dragonstone armor, but I kinda got really lucky by getting 3 pieces, you know? So here's the complete loot from 10,000 crystal keys. I received around 132 mil worth of alchables, which consists of Rune Halberd, Rune Kite Shield, Rune Full Helm, and Rune Plate Legs. The amount of nature runes I consumed was 3,313, which is 1.4 mil worth. So in total this is worth around 425 mil, and that excludes the Dragonstone armor. If I were to include the Dragonstone armor, it would be almost 451 mil. I ended up selling all my loot for 427 mil. I believe I sold them earlier this week on Wednesday, because the prices may crash after I release this video, especially due to Slayer Weekend, you know? With that being said, I made a total of 40 mil profit, and I believe it's around 5 mil GP per hour from looting the crystal chests. The Dragonstone armor sold quite well, as I sold them all for 27.4 mil. So in conclusion, is this really worth it to loot the crystal chests? I mean, the profit's fairly decent, and it's a great way to stock up on corrupted ores, crystal tree blossoms, as well as the motherlode shards. For anyone who's curious, superheating the corrupted ores can give you 450k smithing XP per hour, and that is without any multipliers. Yeah, I know the price of nature runes are fairly expensive, but it's still cheaper than burial armor or ceremonial swords. Those who aren't superheating, 89 to 99 smithing has actually become a lot cheaper, and even quite AFK. As for crystal tree blossoms, they're actually pretty good for herblore XP, as well as crystal parts. The real problem with this method is that it really requires a lot of upfront cash, and not to mention the buy limit's only 100. It was a real hassle to buy them, but yeah, I had to use a few alts to help me buy them during that free weekend. Last but not least though, it's kinda click intensive to loot them really fast. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask.